This is the second model for leadership, and the question is, where do I need to be? So I've got the traditional, the blue triangle in the back represents the traditional organizational structure with the leader at the top. The yellow, it represents an organizational model or leadership model that's become vogue in the past 10 or 15 years, where the leader is in a support mode all the time, okay? But the truth is, if the leader spends all of his or her time down at the bottom of that triangle, you're not going to get very far, okay? Because sometimes the leader does need to be at the top, setting direction, making course corrections. Sometimes the leader needs to be at the bottom of the triangle, teaching and coaching, okay, helping people out. And sometimes they need to be on either side, determining where they need to be. But the idea is to always return back to the center of those two triangles. It's appropriate to be at the bottom. It's appropriate to be at the top. The question is, where do I need to be? And ask that question in conjunction with another question, how can I help my team succeed? Which I'll show you here in a second. So let's stop and try to pull the three pieces together. In order to get to a mindset, which is the only place that you can go right off the bat, okay? If you're going to go through that curve that I showed you, you can't get to replacement of value system. All you can see, the only tangible change that you're going to be able to determine is whether or not folks' mindsets have begun to change, and you're really only going to be able to see that by their behaviors and their actions. So if problem solving begins to have a change, or has made a change in the organizational mindset, then what should happen is that when a problem occurs, somebody reaches for a problem solving sheet. They still grumble a little bit because it's a problem, but their natural reaction is, through muscle memory, grab a problem solving sheet, okay? So that's what we're after here. We're trying to develop a mindset. Problems help my team succeed. We're trying to move from I to we or from me to we, and we're trying to get this idea that improvement is part of my job. We're not going to get the whole way to it is my job yet, but we're trying to make that one shift from phase 1 to phase 2, that improvement is part of my job. In order to do that, we've got to enforce this behavior, focus on problems, team leader as teacher coach, and suggestion system, using the suggestion system. For all the reasons that I talked about. And the way that you enforce this behavior is exercising the framework that I showed you. So every day, let's say for example, in a daily meeting, do you have the opportunity to enforce a focus on problems? Sure, because if somebody wants to come in and tell you what a great shift they had and how they made the production that they needed to make, why do we need to know that? We don't, do we? If they did what they were expected to do, we don't need to know that. All we need to know is what didn't happen. What were the exceptions? What were the problems? So every day, around a 24-hour plan, do, check, act cycle, we have the ability to focus on problems. Do we have the ability to become and develop teacher coach in the organization as we move through the framework? Sure, in a daily meeting, a problem comes up. A person struggles with how they solve the problem. As a team leader, you have the ability to stop, take that outside of the meeting, and do some coaching and problem solving. Suggestions. A problem's presented at the daily meeting. You notice that there's no suggestions in the suggestion system. A problem represents the opportunity for a suggestion to occur. So you can stop and say, hey, let's do a suggestion. Let me show you how to do a suggestion. So what we're doing is using this framework here, trying to enforce that behavior that I've listed on the left in order to get a shift in the mindset over here. Everybody with me? Again, it's very, very simple stuff, but just because it's simple, don't be deceived. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, is it? No. So, recap. Beginning stages of phase 1. What we're trying to do is build a framework so that we have a place to go exercise, so that we get two things. Muscle memory, things like, there's a problem, let me reach for a problem-solving sheet. Okay? There's a problem solution, let me reach for a suggestion form. Okay, that's your muscle memory occurring. And then muscle memory around the foundations, visual management, PDCA, plan, do, check, act, and roles and responsibilities. While that's happening, while we're getting muscle memory, we are also strengthening the organization. Any part of the organization that is exercising that framework is getting stronger, which means that they are moving on the curve. they are changing. Okay? And all of that is perceivable. All of that is something that you can take, stand back, look at, and say, yep, I can see this actually occurring. Okay?